everyone, it's Shell from Scrap Secrets and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to create two cards. One is a thank you card for my former coworker's daughter, Maggie, who crocheted me that little Lucy, as well as made me a sea glass charm. And then this card, unfortunately, is also for their family as well. They had two cats that were very similar to a Lucy and Fred situation. They had Sally and Jack, and they were together. They were 17 years old. They were a biological brother and sister, and unfortunately, Jack passed away. Oh, I thought that I would create this for them because I know how much it stinks to lose a pet, especially when you've had it that long. So we're going to be using this stencil. I believe it's from the Crafter's Workshop. We're using Distress Oxide and Black Soot, and I am trying to be a little bit more patient with my crafting. So I was doing multiple layers of this to add to the color and make it darker rather than just going in with a really heavy hand. And so I just kept going over and over until I got the shade of black that I wanted. I was also being lazy and couldn't find any rainbow dyes. But I did find these circles and I thought, well, this is easy. I could make a rainbow out of this. So I cut out the rainbow from some white cardstock, cut it down to the rainbow shape. So this one is a honeybee die set and it keeps all of the circles together. You can see that they do come apart, so you can take them apart. You could take them apart to color because you'll see once I get to the yellow, I didn't leave all the coloring in, but once I get to the yellow, you'll see that some of the green will eventually bleed into it. We will fix that in a little bit. So I picked some bright, bold colors of Copic marker to go ahead and do the rainbow in. And once that's all done, I'm going to go ahead and place it up against the card. And then I realized that I have to do the outside edges. So I take that red Copic marker and go around it, so that when you look at it from the sides or from the top, you won't see that white core of the paper. So once that's done, I take my Barely Arts glue and put glue all over the back of it. So this is where it would be a little bit trickier, or it would take a little bit more time if you did separate those pieces because you would have to line them all up. But because it was mostly all together, I could glue it down in pretty much one piece. You will see that there is a little bit of a gap there, but I can just, because I use liquid glue, I can wiggle the stuff around a little bit until it looks right. So you can see that green really bled into that yellow. We will fix that in a minute. Once the rainbow was dried, I'm going to take my scissors and snip off that little excess at the bottom. I didn't do a really great job of making sure that it was even, so that's the best way to do it. I went back in and added hearts because I am sure I have a million little hearts in all different kinds of stamp sets, but I wasn't in the mood to look for them. I started off with my Copic markers and then I switched to this Nicole marker that I've had for a really long time and went over them because the Copic marker was bleeding a little bit. Once I put all of those hearts on there, I didn't keep this in the footage, but I did take a micron pen and outline the hearts. They weren't outlined perfectly, so some of them, the lines are cutting into the red. Some of them have a little bit of white space in there too, but I wanted it to not look absolutely perfect like I traced the hearts. I'm also going to go ahead and add some of this Lawn Fawn glitter glue to the piece. So this is how you're going to hopefully not really notice the mistakes that I made. The glitter is going to kind of take over and be the star of the show on this because who doesn't love glitter? And it doesn't come off, so that's the best part of that. The best part of glitter is if it doesn't come off on things, it just stays on the project. I was originally just going and putting it on each color, and then it wasn't laying down very nicely. The pen wasn't working right. I like the glitter that comes out of it, but I don't love this actual pen. I don't know if there's something wrong with mine, but I don't find it's very easy to use. I rather squirt the glitter out, and then I use a paintbrush to go ahead and paint that all on. So while that dries, we're going to go ahead and work on Maggie's thank you card. So I knew that I wanted cats to be featured in this. She is a big animal lover, and I thought that she would find this, find this cute. We're going to be using some Hero Arts contour ink to ink up the cats. This is from a Lawn Fawn stamp set, so there's all different kinds of animals. There's also Christmas ones, it's a different set. And there is a speech bubble that can go above it, and there are coordinating stamp sets that have little sentiments that can go into it, so you can use it for different times of the year. There are also small sentiments in other sets that you could definitely use in there if you wanted it for a different occasion. I, however, found this thank you stamp set from Honeybee Stamps that you'll see in a little bit that had some really nice sentiments that I wanted to go ahead and stamp down. So here's the Lawn Fawn stamp set that I used, and that also had the speech bubble included in it. And there's the Hero or the Honeybee Stamps one that has all of the sentiments. The sentiment on top was the one that I originally thought I was going to use, but then I liked this one a little bit better. I stamped out the speech bubble and the sentiment in Lawn Fawn jet black ink, if I didn't already say that. And then we're going to go ahead and Copic color. The reason that I decided to do the contour ink is that I wanted the cats to look like it was no line coloring. I did go back in with a micron pen and add the eyes, the nose, and then the mouth, also the whiskers, because once you color it in, you can only see the whiskers off the side of their faces. So while I'm coloring this in, I thought that I would do a little bit of story time. I have been traveling a lot for work. I still have some more travel coming up. I also have my orientation for school coming up. Today I went out and bought some new outfits for some of my meetings as well as the orientation. It is a business casual dress. We are going to have a reception. We're going to have a tour of the campus. So it is going to be kind of a little bit more official than when I was there 26 years ago doing my freshman orientation. So August sometime 26 years ago, I was there for undergrad. So talk about full circle. It's funny, and it's going to be weird to be back on campus because I know how much it's changed. My niece went there and graduated a couple years ago from the school, and I've been back a little bit more recently. And my brother also graduated from there a couple years after I graduated from there. So I've been back up several times since, and it's completely changed. Getting excited and nervous about that. I don't know anybody in the program. I do know one of the professors. He was actually a professor when I was there, and I had him for undergrad. He actually lives in my town, which we're about 35 minutes from the school. But, he's getting closer to retiring, but he's going to be there for our program, which is exciting. So I will kind of know somebody, but it's been a very long time since I've actually had him as a professor. Just getting excited about that, and, just trying to do the last couple weeks of summer. I really haven't been to the beach at all. Trying to get down there as much as possible. This coming Thursday is the twins and my dad's birthdays. So lots of birthdays coming up and things to celebrate. So that's just really what's been going on, is really just prepping for school. I also did get my computer today that was another thing I went shopping for. Okay, so let's go back to the card. So this stencil is from Honeybee. I think this is part of a two-step stencil, and I'm using this tiny brush with some Distress ink, and I believe it's not Kitsch it might be Kitsch Flamingo, or it's Worn Lipstick. I think I showed it to you earlier. I went in around the speech bubble, butted the bottom of the stencil up to the speech bubbles, and then I'm going to go and use this brush to fill in the areas at the top where I'm not afraid of getting it onto areas that I don't want it on. And then eventually I'm going to move it down a little bit and kind of put it into places so that I could fill in some of those gaps where it looks like the stencil just ended abruptly. So it took me a little bit to figure out which heart wanted to go where, because the hearts on the side, some of them are cut off, so I had to angle it, or I had to put it back like that one. I had to figure out how to angle the stencil so that it would look like the heart was coming out of the conversation bubble. So once that is done, it does take a little while. This is probably one of the longest parts of the stencil. And this stencil brush didn't have any ink on it at first, so it took a lot of inking up. And because it's also smaller and it does a smaller surface area, it definitely took a little bit more patience to get these hearts. And you can see they're a little bit lighter than some of the other ones. It doesn't bother me. If I was to do it again, I probably would have gone over it 2 or 3 more times, adding a little bit of color to make it a little bit more like the other hearts, but it's, you know, it is what it is. I went through my paper stash to try to find something that would match this. I didn't know if I wanted a solid color or a pattern paper, and I found this really pretty paper. So that's, and the dye is from Mama Elephant. I don't remember what set it's from. It's actually missing from its packaging. But I was going to do this pink pattern on the back. I thought that would look nice. But then I liked all the different colors of the rainbow on this and just decided to put that into place. So that little piece of white cardstock is a little bit larger than the opening. Glued that down into place, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue the frame to a A2 size card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. I should have stamped the inside before I went ahead and did the glued the top to it, but I decided not to. And I'm going to be using another sentiment from the stamp set. I really, really like this one. This is a great one for thank you cards. So you're going to see that I am going to end up taping this down because this is larger than the interior space is smaller than the card when it's folded or it's unfolded. So I'm going to have to be really careful with this because you can get some double stamping. You want to make sure that you tape the card down, even though, you know, it's sticky, the mat underneath is sticky. You want to make sure you tape that down just so that the card doesn't pop up and you get double stamping. Now this card, the other background is being glued to a 5 by 5 1/2 by, I think it's 6 card base. This was a card base that I just had lying around. Like I said, I thought I was going to glue it to an A2 size card, but I didn't. I go ahead and write on the interior of that with a white gel pen, and these are the 2 cards. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below, and I'll see you again real soon for another video. Bye!